welcome back to another episode of Unfinished Fun. I'm Kia,
And I'm Cam.
and we are back with another week of books and shenanigans, I guess.
Mostly shenanigans, but yeah.
Yeah. So, what's going on? What's up?
Um, Nothing. The listeners will have no surprise that I'm sick again because the allergy apocalypse is upon us.
Mm-hmm.
100% blame the eclipse for that. I don't know how those two things would be interconnected, but it seems logical
The
in my
apocalypse,
Benadryl addled brain.
the apocalypse, and the eclipse. And
Allergy
your allergy. Oh,
apocalypse.
allergy apocalypse. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I
Other
gotcha.
people probably think the real apocalypse is coming, but I'm like, we've been waiting patiently since like 2012. I think we're fine. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So super busy week. I got none of the things done that I said I would on the last episode. Again, no surprises there. What about you?
Well, I don't remember what I said I would get done. Um, but I did in the last 2 days, I started Butcher and Blackbird, which I showed Cam, I have a page full of notes. Um, and I did write for the story that okay, so I did say that I was going to write for this. And I actually did on Saturday write for this story. I wrote 1,234 words. I only remember because it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Very
But I am very
nice.
excited, and I'm not done yet. I just ran out of steam. So I have to kind of tie two paragraphs together, which I have ideas, but I just could not think of words. It was like, and this,
Mm.
like that kind of thing.
Do you
So
want to give? Sorry.
go for it.
Do you want to give listeners a recap of what that story is about?
Yeah, so that story is about two sisters. One of them is a little bit more timid, one of them is more outgoing. They are orphans, they are adults though, but they have kind of like a Lorelai Rory type of relationship, age gap, but mother or sisters, not mother daughter. It's kind of a fantasy book in that they come across a book of spells, they cast one, and they go on a crime spree with men that they have entrapped. Um, it's dark, and it is going to be spicy, as Cam will learn when she reads the email that I sent her with my 1,234 words.
Yeah. Not really good at getting too many emails. There's a lot of chaos in all of my inboxes right now. Um, I'm listeners, I'm on my journey to become a homeowner, and I have never been so tired in my life. So if people are like, "Hey, did you do the thing?" I'm like, "Bruh, no. I'm just trying to remember if I have slept in the last 3 days." But for next week, I will bring my thoughts and comments on the sister murdery fantasy book. So as you were saying that, I thought of a book that I wanted to drop a note for those who like family style murder. The book is called My Sister the Serial Killer, and it's by Onya. I'm gonna butcher this. Oyinkan Braithwaite. It is about a duo, two sisters, and one of them is basically just like a murdering sociopath, and the other sister cleans up after her and tries to keep her from being caught and punished for her heinous crimes because what is sisterly love if not a little bit of murder? So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of like a team effort there. One commits the
Yeah, I
crime,
mean,
one saves her from it, They work together.
the kind of friends you have are the ones that will help you hide a body.
Yeah, for real. You
Mm.
know? And if you can't hide a body for your sister, who can you hide a body for?
The thing is,
Honestly.
like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess if you asked, I would help. But, like,
You're probably like one of the first people I would ask.
I
Cuz
don't know what that says about me.
I know you would be efficient.
I would be very efficient.
And
Yeah.
you would think about all the angles.
The fact that I
Everything that
already
needs to be done.
know, like, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, because we would definitely, like, part of the body would go here, the other part would go here, because you never bear the whole thing in one place.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think between the two of us, we've watched enough murder mysteries and crime shows to like really, really do a good job.
Yeah. Speaking of murder and crime, though, do you want to share your thoughts on Butcher and Blackbird, like as far as you have gotten, or do you want to wait until you finish the whole thing?
We can talk about it now. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish this book within the next couple days. So,
Okay.
um, if you're not familiar with the Libby app, it's something that you can sign up for generally. Well, I think you can sign up for it on its own, but a lot of libraries also give you access to it. And what it is you can read digital versions of books or you can do audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I use this for my audiobooks typically. I thought I was getting an audiobook with Butcher and Blackbird, but it was not. And it kind of stressed me out because I really like to multitask and I really have a hard time sitting down and reading. Like yesterday, I would read for like four sentences and then, one of my kids would be like, "Oh, mommy, I need this." Or, I would think, "Okay, I need to like refill my coffee cup or whatever." Um, but today I actually did like sit down and spend a long time reading and I'm like a third of the way through and I've gotten to some juicy bits
Mm.
and I'm really enjoying it. Not juicy like spicy, juicy like
Oh no, there's
murder.
drama.
Yeah.
There is drama. And also, before we get into the discussion, will you have spoilers or not? Do we need to put a spoiler warning before this section? Trying to look out for you, listeners.
um I don't know, like spoiler alert, I am going to mention some things, but I'm
Okay.
going to try and do it in a very casual way. So like if you haven't read the book, it's okay to keep listening, and if you have read the book, then you absolutely know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Um
So, mild spoiler alert. Proceed at
yeah.
your own risk.
Yeah, more like a teaser.
Yeah.
So I am going to say right off the back, like as soon as I opened the book, the trigger warnings really made me laugh. Like they are wild. Um And just okay, so I am gonna read a couple of them just because, like, they're not really. I mean, the author is spoiling it in the trigger warnings, and you kind of just need to know. So the first trigger warning is eyeballs and eye sockets. If you are squeamish, this probably is not a great book for you. There are skin ornaments, not so accidental cannibalism, and accidental cannibalism, which is the part that I'm at, which really made me laugh. Um, Lobotomized manservant. Uh, I haven't gotten to the. It says I'm sorry about the cookies and cream ice cream. In parentheses, it says I'm not really like I haven't gotten to that part yet. I love cookies and cream ice cream, so I'm kind of scared. Um, so like you know,
I think my favorite one is questionable use of a mummified corpse.
also haven't gotten there yet either.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Um, so yeah, like I love the trigger warnings. I love that they're there and it's not like a jump in and then you just automatically find out what happens.
You know what it is?
So
Like the trigger warnings have the energy of like an AO3 fanfic tag.
they absolutely do. Yeah.
Those are unhinged. And honestly, like if you ever want to laugh, just like go look up the top fanfic on AO3 and just look at the tags. It is a roller coaster from start to finish. You don't even
For
have to
real.
read the story. The
Right.
tags
You can
are
just
the best
piece it
part.
together from the trigger warnings.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um Also the artist, the author includes a Spotify playlist that coincides with each chapter.
Mm.
Now, did not listen to this. Did you, Cam?
I did. And I I do not approve of every song on the playlist. I am very picky about my music, and whenever I'm writing, music is involved always.
Hmm.
But I did like it. And honestly, I'm not going to talk about my favorite songs on the playlist because I want listeners who decide to go read the book to experience that for themselves. But I will say that the author did a great job of catching like you pick up what she's trying to put down um, when you are listening to the playlist. It is very well thought out. I'm just picky.
Yeah, I did not listen to it. I kind of thought I would go back like chapter by chapter maybe, but then I got so caught up with the chapters that I have not gone back. So maybe eventually I'll listen to it. But there throughout the book there are references to the songs on the playlist. Some of
Mm-hmm.
the songs. So, that's a good
Yeah.
little tie-in.
I wonder if
Um
she'll carry that theme forward to the next books as well.
I don't know. So is the next book out? So this is the trilogy. The next book is
Right.
called Leather and Lark.
It
Um
is not out yet.
it's not out yet. Okay.
No.
And then I haven't seen any indication of what the third book is called. So we'll see.
No, I haven't. I haven't either. Again, I can't talk about it because spoilers. But yeah, we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Listeners, there are 3 books for a reason. Um,
It's
but
a
yeah,
lot of
so
things.
what are your thoughts?
Okay, so
First impression.
I'm just gonna go down my list because like I've been writing notes as I read it. So I am not an annotation person. I would like to get into writing annotations into the books that I read. Just for my reference, if you listen to the last episode, then you know that I have a spreadsheet that I do like a quick recap just for my recollection. I find that sometimes when I'm listening to audiobooks, I don't remember the content quite like I do when I'm actually physically reading the book. But with this one, I really wanted to write notes and just kind of have some talking points that either made me laugh or just something that stood out to me. So the first thing I'm going to say is reading the first like 3 pages. Don't eat while you're reading the first few pages.
Yeah.
I had gotten some Chinese food and I was like, okay, I'm going to get my Chinese
Oh
food.
no, no Chinese food.
And I like
The rice.
settled in to read and immediately I was like, this is a bad idea. So I had to like stop, finish my food first, go back into reading. That was a wild ride for me. I really enjoyed the banter of the first 2 characters. So Butcher and Blackbird. Um, Butcher is a guy, Blackbird is a woman, and they really have a good chemistry. They have a great banter. It's very comical. Like Butcher seems like he doesn't fully have life together. He's kind of like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy.
He's
And
a mess.
Blackbird is, huh?
He's a mess.
He's a mess. But Blackbird is very like calculated, very aware of what's happening. And so their banter back and forth is just it's very entertaining. Um okay, so one thing I did not love, there's a lot of like Jesus Christ references. And I didn't it was a lot for me in the first
Mm.
couple chapters personally. Like I don't mind language, but that one was something that kind of was like, oh, okay. Um, okay, what does this term mean? There was like 3 of these references within the first third of the book. A
Mm.
shit eating smirk or shit eating grin. What does that mean? Because that just sounds, that's like the grossest phrase I've ever heard.
It's very, very smug and snarky and bratty. It's like it is a gloating expression.
Listeners, whenever you read my book or works of fiction, you will never, ever see that phrase because it makes me want to gag whenever I read it. Um, Personally, that's not something that I'm like, it just kind of takes me out of it because I'm like, oh, that is so gross. But anyway, so going on through my notes, Butcher is like so into Blackbird. It's so cute because again, he's like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy. Like he's trying to figure out how to keep her interest, and she's really just like trying to get her work done. He's like,
Golden Retriever and Black Cat.
exactly, exactly. And he's like
Mm-hmm.
watching her like he just has this like wild admiration for her and for her craft. Um and at the part that I've stopped at, which is um if you know, it's when she is finishing up with Thornton and his whole thing. And she is like doing her signature move, and he's like stood back watching. She shows him her artwork, so to speak, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is like beautiful. This is your artwork." And it's like he just has so much love and admiration for her craft, and he's such like a fanboy for her. So
Yeah.
I love that part. Like it's just so cute. And she's just like she's very shy, so she has admiration for him too, but it's more like a professional respect. And
Mm-hmm.
then she just gets shy. But for him, he's just like fanboying
Yeah, like he
all over
wants her
her.
autograph is the energy that it gives.
Yeah, for sure.
He wants
Definitely.
more than her autograph, but yeah.
Yeah, definite golden retriever energy. So there are some, if you know Cam and I, there are some Keanu Constantine like references, which
Mm-hmm.
I loved. Um, and they're like thirsting over it, so which I loved even more. Uh, oh, and then Butcher um, murders someone in front of Blackbird, basically. Spoiler alert, sorry. I won't tell you how. But then he like completely, because he is a fanboy who is in love with this woman, he like freaks out and he's like, "Oh my gosh, like I've scared her off." Which just like I laughed out loud at the fact that this serial killer thinks that him killing someone scared off another serial killer. So that just like really made me laugh. Like, and he kind of like he did get intense. Um like that first one, their first competition, he did get intense, but it was pretty much in protection of her, which was sweet in the sense of killing someone gruesomely to protect the person that you're into. Um, it's sweet in a very specific
Pause.
niche.
Listeners, please do not murder someone on behalf of your
No, no, no,
crush. Just throwing that out
no,
there. We
don't.
do not condone
Disclaimer,
that type of crazy stalkerish behavior. As sweet as it may be on paper, prison is forever.
for real. Um, so there was a part too where like that I really enjoyed, and it was within the first third of the book where so they have this competition that they're doing with each other, and it seems like they do it, at least so far they're doing it like once a year, and then there's this point in between the year where like you kind of see the characters try to connect in a deeper way. Butcher is very much into it. He's like, yes, let me connect with this person. Blackbird is very reserved. So you really see this like love story starting to play out with a lot of apprehension from two people who just like don't trust the world. So I thought that that was very interesting as well. Um, so like for a minute, just watching them and like their like awkwardness and just like them trying to connect and get to know each other, it was like you kind of forget that they're serial killers and doing these crazy things, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like I just want them to communicate and be on the same page about this and like learn to trust each other. So that's where I'm at. That's the
Mm-hmm.
end of my reading. Like I said, like I'll probably finish this book this week. I'm hoping that I do, fingers crossed. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm so glad Cam brought it up. Um, Yeah.
Yeah. My impressions were similar in that I loved the interactions between Butcher and Blackbird. I loved the interactions with the side characters, which I won't, again, talk about just to avoid spoiling anything. But the author does a great job of leaving breadcrumbs that are going to leave readers wanting more as they read along. Um, I think that how they respond to each other in like what you're talking about, how they communicate or don't, the author did a really good job of making it obvious that these two knuckleheads just like need each other um, in in a way that's romantic but also a little bit twisted. So very very intriguing read there. And it is true that you kind of forget they're serial killers until one of them up and like offs at somebody.
Right.
You're just like, oh, da 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 da, and then it's like, ah, murder. Um,
But then even like within the murder, like that first one, like she was so concerned for Butcher. Like he wasn't involved in the gruesomeness of it all. Like he was, spoiler, he was drugged. But she was so concerned for him and still like caring, and then like, oh, let me hold your hand and take you and show you all this like stuff that I did and walk you through it so you kind of get a better understanding of like who I am. So it was still like, even
mhm.
though, in the middle of a crime scene, it was, there were still some sweet parts to it.
Yeah, it it reminded me a little bit of, for fans of the show Dexter, when, and you know what, I am drawing a blank on the character's name, but he kind of links up with another killer in season, I don't know, it was like mid-season or midway through the series, excuse me. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I found someone who understands me." And then come in the complications of like, "Wait, maybe that's not a good thing." So, again, for those who want a a very intriguing story with heart, murder with heart,
Yeah.
that's definitely a book for you. I am very much looking forward to the second book and the third one. I hope that the author will expand on the universe or continue another series because her writing style is fantastic. Because I love
Mhm.
a spicy, actiony book that's funny.
Yeah.
Humor gets me every single time.
Yeah, for
Um,
real.
well, first of all, did you have any other notes for Butcher and Blackbird?
Well, my very last note was just him acknowledging her artwork
Mm-hmm.
within the scene that she created, which also is very interesting too, because she said, she very briefly touched on it in the section that I'm in, but she did talk about a little bit about her trauma and how it took her out of her creativity and her artwork. But yet, what like her signature move is also artwork, and the way that he like recognized what she was doing and that it was so beautifully done and it was artwork. It was like her like kind of leaving a signature, her calling card, but also giving clues to um, the investigative crew, even though they have not caught on, in a way. And it was so like just intricate. Like he just like visualizing the scene. I can just see him standing there and looking at it and just like his breath being taken away by the intricacy and the detail and the thought that she put into it. So just him recognizing that, like, no, this is your artwork. Like he said, you don't do art, but like this is your craft. Like that, I thought was really sweet.
I think it's funny how we both enjoyed opposite aspects of the book because you enjoy the sweet part, and I'm like, where's the murder? Can we have more murder? I want the intrigue. I want like the secrets and the other, again, the stuff happening with the side characters. I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh, they're in love anyway. That's
Yeah.
a murder. Um,
Yeah.
to follow on the note I was going to make, though, the book was funny and the book was well written.
Yeah.
So I am reading a book that I will probably sell off or get rid of when I finish it. It is by Penelope Douglas and it is called Hideaway. I am almost done with this book and I'm still not sure what it's about. To be honest, it is about an abandoned hotel, and there's a myth and there's a girl and a guy, and apparently they're on opposite sides of something that I can't talk about without spoiling. And then there's like a 3-year time gap, and he wants his life back, but they don't. There's like some betrayal happening. Here's the thing, this book is long. This book is almost 500 pages long.
Oh,
I should understand the story
yes.
before I get halfway through. The fact that I'm almost done and I'm still confused and I don't like either one of the characters. I know I sound hypercritical right now, but I like other work by Penelope Douglas. This one just does not do it for me because there's so much going on. I think the
Mhm.
time jumps could have been done better because it makes it hard to actually understand what's happening in the story.
It sounds like
Um,
a dark romance of the lake house.
like I said, it's not one of my favorites, and I probably will not keep it. One other book I am almost done reading. I act like I read a lot. I don't. I just have spent a lot of time in the car lately and have had time to power through these books. It is the book called Bride by Ali Hazelwood.
Mhm.
She wrote the best time seller Love Theoretically, which is basically Kylo Ren fan fiction turned into a book. I did not like that book. I'm so sorry, Ali, but I do like this one. It's about a vampire and a werewolf, surprise, surprise, and they kind of end up stuck together and hate each other. So it's a cute little enemies to lovers, and it's very sarcastic and funny. And then the third book that I am determined to read before I give away is called Ohio by Stephen Markley.
Mhm.
I've had this book for a couple of years. I read it a long time ago, and it was so weird.
Oh,
I'm just
what's
putting
it
it out
about?
there. It's I don't really know. That's kind of why I want to read it again. It's about a night in 2013 when four former high school classmates converge on their hometown in northeastern Ohio. And the book goes over these different perspectives of the characters as they find like secrets and regrets and all of these different things. And so each character goes through their own story. Some
Is
of
it
them
a
are really kind of forgettable, some are a little bit more interesting. NPR called it a wild, angry, devastating masterpiece of a book. So that's why I
goodness?
got it.
Is it a true story?
No, I hope not.
Oh.
No, it's not a true story.
Okay.
I honestly saw it and I was like, hey, I grew up in Ohio. I want to read this book. Halfway through it, I was like, what in the world is happening with these people? It's a story. How can I put it? It's a story about the true ugliness of life and
Mhm.
how it happens to everyone and how it can happen to everyone, even as the author refers to them, these nobodies, unforgettable characters, right?
Okay.
So the people who in a movie would be in the background,
Yeah.
but they are going through their own wild traumas. And so sometimes I like a book that's not all like vampires and murder and werewolves and things like that. So it was a little bit too grounded for me. Wasn't expecting it, but if you don't want to go the fantasy spicy murder route and want something a little darker and heavier, Ohio might be for you. The book, not the state.
Do not endorse the state.
You know, there are parts of me that really miss living in Ohio because it was pretty, but every time I go back, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then again, where I live now is a different, not that different. So yeah, that's where I was at with reading. Again, I am not working on any projects because I am just trying to stay afloat with my life as an adult. I have projects I want to work on at some point.
Hmm.
Where that point is, I don't know.
I mean, just keeping yourself alive and functioning is kind of its own project. Like
Yeah,
life is hard.
life is real hard. Like, I'm proud of myself that I watered my plants and ate a vegetable today.
Good for
Gold star
you.
for me.
Yeah. The only vegetable that I had today was fried. So I don't think
I mean, the only fruit I
I
had
don't.
today came in like gummy form. So,
Okay, so serious question. Are you a person that if you don't like, because you didn't like that first book, are you a
uh-huh.
person that if you don't like the book, like you can stop reading, or do you just try to power through?
It depends on how much I don't like it. There have been books that I full on just, I don't need to finish this.
Hmm.
This is trash. Uh, it must be, like, I want to be rid of it immediately.
Yeah,
Other books I will power through, like the bit real popular one right now,
there's several.
the dragon one.
A Court of Many Thorns, or
No,
Thorns and Roses, or
the
something.
Rebecca Yarros.
Oh, Iron Flame.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of it. I was trying to look at it on my bookshelf, but it was too far away. I had a hard time with those, but
Really?
I powered through.
Okay.
Excuse me. I had a hard time with the main character. I had a hard time with the characters. I
In
love the
the
dragons.
first one or in both of them?
Yes, both of them.
Okay.
I
I have a
loved the
hard
dragons.
time
The
with.
humans got on my nerves.
Okay. Yeah, the
The humans
dragons are
got on my nerves.
phenomenal.
And
Yeah.
so it wasn't so much the writing style. The if you if you want a quick teeny bopper Mary Sue book, yes, they're great. I enjoyed reading it once I understood like how the characters are and
Hmm.
got over that. There's a lot of criticism out there right now about those books, and people are calling it like a failure of modern literature, which I think is a little harsh.
That's a
So
stretch.
that's a that's heavy handed. But I think that comes more from how the books are being flouted as, oh, these amazingly, you know, generation changing books, and it's like it's dragon fantasy fiction.
Yeah. Not
It's
sure which
not Shakespeare.
generation that should be changing. See, I loved the first one. I finished that one within like a week. I mean, that was like a 19-hour audiobook. I finished that one
Uh-huh.
within like fast. The second, what was the second one called? So the first one was Iron Flame was the second one. Fourth Wing was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth Wing, I enjoyed, and I was like, this is a really cool story. Iron Flame was, which is the second book, was like, it was like a 29-hour audiobook. It took me a lot of stops and starts to get through that book, and I really had a hard time. It was not as good as the first one, I thought, and I wanted to give up, but I knew there was more coming to it, like another book or like the series that's coming out. So I wanted to finish it. Um at my big age of 36, I no longer finish books that I have no interest in. Uh
Life is
I'm
too
like,
short for me to spend it
life
looking at a book I
life
don't
is
like.
too short to watch, to read, or listen to a book that I do not enjoy. It's too short. Um
Oh, sorry, my voice is getting crunchier the more we go on. So,
Oh, you're
listeners, I
fine.
apologize.
You're fine.
One thing I do want to point out with this type of fantasy soul character is going to save the world type of young adult fiction ish book.
I think most of it's YA.
Yeah. There was a series back in 2002 when I was a young gun called the Inheritance series by Christopher Paolini. These books were amazing. Very, very recently, he dropped another one in the he dropped another one in the series, like a fourth one and maybe a fifth one. A solid, what, 20 years, 20 plus years after the
In
book
that
series
same
came
series?
out. Yeah,
That's wild.
it was wild. I was walking through Barnes and Nobles and nearly broke my neck whipping around. I was like, what is
Oh.
that?
See,
Um,
I don't know this series. Was okay, would you call that a generational game changer?
I think it depends on who you ask. If you were a lonely nerd like me, absolutely. I don't think popular kids were reading these books. The thing
See,
is,
I was partying back then in 2002, 2003. So
yeah, you had better things to do than sit on the floor and read.
I
But
was like
the point I
starting
was getting
college
to
and yeah.
was that the thing I found lacking in the Fourth Wing series that was very heavily present, almost overly so, in the Inheritance series. Some folks may remember Aragon, the movie that they made, which wasn't that great. There was a lot of world building,
Hmm.
like a lot of heavy, heavy world building. And I have those books packed up somewhere. Otherwise, I would show you how big they are. They are thick.
Oh yeah.
He goes into so much detail about the world that this takes place in. Again, for the average reader or someone who doesn't want to spend that much time understanding, it may not be that enjoyable. I found that the Iron Flame series didn't have enough world building in the sense that I'm going, okay, Violet, what's your deal, girlfriend?
There's a lot of pining in that one
Uh-huh.
versus like opening up secondary characters and world building.
And that's the thing. The world is very narrow. It's narrowed to the main character's vision, her scope is
Hmm.
very, very narrow, and the reader is stuck within that. So you don't gain any information until she learns it. And
Yeah.
so it makes it hard to justify some of the things that go on in the book because it doesn't feel organic.
Yeah, it takes a long time to like figure out what the reason was, what the behind
Hmm.
the scenes information is and all that.
But there isn't enough flexibility for the reader to fill in the blanks on their own.
Hmm.
It's something that the reader or the character and the author have. It's information that has to be given to you, and it's just given in a way that I did not love. It's a delicate balance. Again, I am speaking of my own personal preference in terms of what I like to read. I wanted to know more. Again, I was more like, what's the deal with the dragons? Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
Nope, it's all about
Zayden. So
Zayden. What's his name?
Zayden Ryerson. So my problem, because I didn't read the book, I listened to audiobook, and kudos to the woman who read it. Like that's a lot of reading to
Mm-hmm.
verbalize and show emotion, and she did show a very good job of emotion. It took me out of the first one because she was very like all those sounds, those mouth sounds that I really
Yeah,
that I
that was why I
really
couldn't do the
hate.
audiobook.
Yeah, that I
I couldn't do
really
it.
hate listening to, like the swallowing and just like the it wasn't integral to the story. It was just her reading this like 20-hour book.
Well, and
Which
the thing is, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, which thankfully in the second one in Iron Flame, that was not present because I was that was one thing that I was really like, I don't know if I can listen to this book being that long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can listen to this with all those like non-integral parts of this sounds. But she did have, and she did a phenomenal job in Iron Flame, and she did do a very good job of like showing the emotion and like it was very well acted. But I will say from Iron Flame, or from, I'm sorry, from Fourth Wing, the way that she said Zayden, like there was this one point where she was like, I don't know, it was this pivotal moment for the characters, and she just said Zayden, and that's like anytime I hear his name, like that's having been like 4 months removed from listening to that. That is how I I just sometimes think of Zayden, and I'm like, oh
Zayden.
my god.
You know what it is? It reminds me of Kristen Stewart as Bella in Twilight, where she's like, Edward. That's what it reminds me of.
Now I will say I've actually never seen those movies, and I've never read those
Serious?
books.
Oh
No.
my gosh.
I was not the
Uh,
target demographic for that. I've never read those. Um
uh, Life changing. Not necessarily in a good way. As an adult who is, again, 15 years removed from when that was out, it is uniquely good and bad in a way that I think it earned its place in literary.
yeah, it's definitely like up there, especially like with the movies and everything. Like it's definitely has its own, it stands alone, has its own place. And
Mhm.
I've wanted to like go back and I've never wanted to read the books, but like watch the movies maybe. But then at the same time, I'm like, no, I think I'm too old. I think I've passed the threshold for that.
Oh, you're never too old. Never. Ever.
I don't think I could watch it without being extremely sarcastic and extremely critical.
Then watch it being extremely sarcastic and extremely critical. That's how I am 85% of the time.
That is true. Maybe I'll do like a whiskey weekend or something.
Exactly. You open a bottle of wine and start with movie one and you just go on.
Yeah.
It's, again, it was a different time and a different place, but I found the books. The books are better than the movies. I hate to say it.
It
They just
usually
were.
happens though.
They the
It's so
movies
hard to
will
get
always have a
movies
special place to me.
it's so hard to get
Mhm.
movies right, I think, because you have a limited time, whereas the books you can like even though you're reading a page, like you can take a pause from the page and sit back and like imagine
Mhm.
everything that you just read, whereas like a movie, it's like quick, you have to get in every single point, everything within an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always something like a little bit of magic missing from a movie, I feel
It
like
just,
I
you have to watch the movies. You have to see, oh my gosh, the do you care if I spoil it a little bit?
no, I mean that what is it, like 20 years
20
old?
years later. Oh my gosh, the part where you finally get to see her and Bella and Edward's child, Renesmee, that like combination of CGI, again, this was 20 years ago. CGI or like fake baby was so freaking terrifying, and it was bad. It was bad, bad, bad. But it's like that's what makes it so hilarious and iconic. It's just like, who in their right mind said, "Yeah, that's what a baby looks like."
Now, like I've seen clips of like Robert Pattinson, and I don't know, maybe it was like that, and then like who's the guy, Christian Lautner, and I was like, this is not like
Taylor
I'm
Lautner.
Taylor Lautner. I'm sorry. Um, I'm like, this is not for me. Um,
It's, you had to have been
but
there. You had to have been there.
I'm
Oh,
gonna I'm gonna
I
watch
still have
them.
my Twilight poster somewhere.
I'm gonna
I
watch.
know
You
I
had a
do.
poster? Oh my goodness, I'm gonna
Oh, I
watch
had
them.
several. I had several. I
So
swear I have them somewhere.
I was more like into the gossip. Like I knew all about Kristen Stewart's affair. I knew all about Robert Pattinson and Taylor Lautner having like a little, you know,
Oh, I wanted
rivalry and
nothing to do
everything.
with that. I
Yeah,
had
I knew
no
all about
interest.
the gossip because I was very much into like e-news and all that kind of stuff back then.
Okay.
But I
I
didn't
was
watch
not
the
into it.
movie, but like yeah, the gossip, I could have, yeah, I
Did
could have done
you
all of it.
did you ever see the new Batman movie with our Pats?
No.
You should, it's really good.
I heard it was good. I have not watched Batman in a while. Like the last one I think I watched was like Batman versus Superman, and it was kind of against my will. So I just it's not something that I like would have turned on myself. Um and I like I'm probably gonna get hate, but I'm not a huge like Zoe Kravitz fan. Not
That's
that
fair.
I'm like not that I like sorry, I just got a text. It's not that I like hate her. It's just that I haven't seen anything she's in that I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like this great actress that people say she
Yeah,
is.
I would rather watch her
Yeah.
parents on screen than her.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so I think that's like why I haven't seen it. Um, also I'm no longer married, so now I'm not forced to. Uh, so
True. Fair enough.
but
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like lead us down that little tangent, but yeah.
no worries.
Um, your teeth look really white, by the way.
They do, and they are not this white because I drink a ton of coffee. It's pure it's purely the lighting in this room.
Yeah, I just because I was like, my teeth look so yellow. I need to take better care of like some teeth whitening stuff, but I'm scared to get like any type of whitening treatment done.
I had um I don't remember what brand it is. It's like this little red pen. I want to say it's Colgate that you just like brush on your teeth that I did
Mm-hmm.
last summer, and you really only needed like a couple treatments and your teeth were white. Cuz I don't remember what I think I was going to a gala or something and I wanted to freshen up my teeth. This is
Mm-hmm.
not an ad, by the way. It's just
I mean, it
it was
looks
just an
Colgate wants it to be.
hello Colgate. It was just like a nice pen. I did it for like maybe on and off for like a week or two, and then it really brightened up. And then I was like, okay, I think this is a little too bright. So, but I drink coffee. Like I could drink coffee all day long. This is not coffee in my mug, however. This is Dark Horse Rosé. Also not an ad, but because I love Dark Horse Rosé, I would do an ad for them. Um, so that's what I'm drinking.
So, and listeners, on that final note, we do not condone murder. I think Twilight is a national treasure in its own weird and twisted and maybe kind of a wrong way. I definitely encourage you to go out there and read books that strike your interest. We have our own homework. What was my homework again?
I think you're finishing books.
Yeah, finishing something.
Yeah.
Your homework is to finish Butcher and Blackbird. Right, I need to read the thing that you sent me and bring notes
Yes.
back for
Yes.
next week. So,
Yes.
listeners, if you want to know more about Butcher and Blackbird and my thoughts on my dear sister's writing, tune in next week and we will hopefully get our homework done on time.
Hopefully.
With that, I'm Cam,
And I'm Kia.
and this has been another episode of Unfinished Fun. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.